Yeah, hi everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I'm looking forward to our session and keeping safe, keeping positive, aware, mindful, conscientious, and all of these good qualities of which you have in abundance. I hope they are prevailing over any negativities that you may be experiencing at different times. So let's do the chanting now. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Dudayambi Sangham saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Buddham saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Dhammam saranam gacchami, Tatayambi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from their happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayatam gate gate para samgate bodhe soha. Tayatam gate gate para samgate bodhe soha. Tayatam gate gate para samgate bodhi soha. So now, just before we do the meditation, I just thought I'd make announcements, okay? Just had a chat with Leanne not long before the class today, just to see her thoughts or hear her thoughts on when we should take a bit of a break, or if we should take a bit of a break. I was thinking about it last night. I thought, oh, Saturday 23rd, Saturday 30th, Saturday the 6th of January. Maybe we don't have to take a break at all. But from Leanne's advice and my mum's advice, maybe some other people would agree as well. Maybe a little break is nice to have a refresher, and then also increase, our enthusiasm and joy in listening to the Dharma, contemplating the Dharma, and practicing the Dharma. By having a few weeks off, this maybe help to refresh us a little bit, So we will take the 23rd off, Saturday the 23rd of December. We will take off Saturday, the 30th of December and Saturday, the 6th of January next year. Okay, so I don't like particularly to take, it's like 4 weeks between classes. But I think we did it last year and the year before, maybe. So it's not such a bad thing. Have a little bit of a break, like I said. And, I was happy to keep going, but I think everybody, maybe you need some time with your family, maybe walking the dog or walking the cat, if you have the cat, or just walking by yourself, or just taking some time. But during this period, as per usual, I'm always available. You can ask me questions, especially, let's say, through Messenger, text message, things like that, emails, or calls are fine too, if needed, and if we can organize a time when we're both available. Okay, so there's that one. So we start back. The class will start back on the 13th of January. We do have this week now, as you see, and then, of course, next week, the 9th, and the following week, the 16th of December as well. So we've got this class, including with this class, is 3 classes. Okay, so before we take the 3 weeks off. I will get Leisha. I'm not sure if Leisha's with us today, but I'll get Leisha to organize a new Zoom link, which we have to do every year. And then with the Zoom ID and the Zoom pass code. Okay, so just be aware of that. And of course, I'll let you know ahead of time, personally, message you, as well as put it up on Facebook and stuff like that. Okay. I think that's all for that. Yeah, yeah, just be aware of those weeks off, okay? And try your best to sort of participate next week and the week after. And what I'll do, there is a little more actually. What I'll do is continue to work off my book and the teachings therein until we go through them all, basically. There may be a few that I won't do, but I think I'll probably do most of them. And as you know, we did, I think, 4 last week or 5 or something like that. So, if we get 4 or 5 done every week, then this will take us into February, I imagine. So 3 weeks now, and then 3 weeks in January. And so let's say that's 30 of them. We've already gone through about 11, I think. So into February, and then we'll start the new subject, which is Dharma advice, like practice advice by Master Atisha Dipankara, who came from the area we call these days Bangladesh, okay, and probably the most well-known Bangladeshi master. But of course, in those days, it was part of India, and it's especially well-known in Tibet. Okay, so I thought I'd utilize his sound advice, okay, and then I'll give some commentary on that and to take us into the new year. I'm not sure how long. I haven't looked at this teaching for quite some time now, since I initially decided to do it, and which I think was around the time we started the 8 verses. So I haven't looked at it properly there to see how much commentary will be needed. Okie dokie. So let's forget everything I just said. It was quite a lot of it, wasn't there? And let's do some meditation now. So get yourself comfortable and let's release the tension from the body. So gently close your eyes, lips gently touching, tongue resting on the upper palate in the mouth, above the top teeth. Shoulders nice and relaxed, not rigid, but not lazy or slouching. The back nice and straight without being rigid again. Bring your mind inside the body and let's release the tension from the tips of the toes up the leg. And up to the shoulders, down to the tips of your fingers, and finally to the top of your head. So let's take a few moments to do this now. And when you are ready, just scan your body again to see if there's any leftover tension that you can release, and then release it. And now bring your mind to, or place your mind on your breath, or the feeling of the breath as you breathe in your nose, all the way into your lungs, and then back out your nose again. Breathing in and breathing out. That's all you have to do right now. Focus on the breath. If you get any mental agitation, such as thoughts, feelings, and the like, if they arise, don't cling to them, grasp at them, try to force them away or deny them, but naturally and simply let them go by replacing your mind back onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. Be kind to yourself, and take responsibility for your own state of mind by practicing the meditation, getting to know your mind more, calming the mind, developing this really good concentration onwards to become perfect concentration eventually. With this concentration, we're able to utilize our ability to investigate and analyze so that we can develop true insight and wisdom and develop the compassion that comes along with this and so on. Be responsible to do this. Don't always look outside for happiness. Don't always look outside for the answers to questions you may have, because they're in your own mind already. And then you can learn them from others. You can learn them from books, from your own contemplation. But what we want for understanding and wisdom is to have direct insight into the nature of things, the nature of reality, both from the point of view of conditioned phenomena and eventually unconditioned nirvana, enlightenment. Okay. Once again, forget everything I just said and let's focus on the breath, breathing in, breathing out. Take a short while to do this now. So now we can feel very pleased with ourselves and fill ourselves with universal loving kindness. Have the feeling of universal loving kindness filling your whole being. And utilize the visualization technique of having your whole being filled with the universal loving kindness represented by the white light, or the white nectar if you prefer. Really fill yourself with this feeling of universal loving kindness. Everything is mind only, you could say, developed in our own mind. Without our own mind and the consciousness that comes along with this mind, actually, we would have no experience. Fill yourself with so much universal loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to your loved ones, family and friends, filling them with the universal loving kindness too. And now also includes strangers. Fill them with the universal loving kindness as well. And also those you may regard as enemies. Fill them with the universal loving kindness too. Metaphorically, we can say, kill them with kindness. If somebody's being nasty, then be kind in return, especially from your own mind. Even if you still have to have a serious look on your face when dealing with difficult people. Have this loving kindness pervade your whole being. And now, pervading all of these different types of people in front of you. May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. So let's now radiate the loving kindness out further and further distance-wise, initially around your immediate area, to all sentient beings now. Whether they live in the waters, on the land, under the land, fly through the air, whether they are born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation, whether they live in the human realm, the animal realm, or any of the other realms of existence. May they all be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful, and work their way towards enlightenment. And likewise, as we continue to increase our radiation of loving kindness further and further now throughout your whole state or county, and other states and counties throughout your whole country. And other countries throughout the whole world. Initially, those you're familiar with and have an affinity towards. Also, those you're indifferent towards, and those you may have some negative feelings towards. Until your loving kindness pervades throughout this whole planet, throughout all of the oceans, all the waterways, all the countries, until your loving kindness pervades down to the center of the earth, the core of the earth, and to the outermost atmosphere. And then beyond this planet alone, throughout the whole solar system. And all of the solar systems throughout the galaxy. Throughout the whole universe. Until your loving kindness pervades throughout infinite space. This immeasurable loving kindness based on equanimity, not separate from great compassion and empathetic joy. The equanimity, of course, based on wisdom. Also be present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata, not yet born, rise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. I just remind you that I'm actually answering questions that have come in over the last 9 months or so, but utilizing my book with the quotes of different varying lengths, as well as the varying lengths or explanations of varying lengths as well. Okay, so I'm utilizing these because I realize that within these teachings, I'm answering, actually, by utilizing these teachings, I'm answering those questions. And I thought it's a nice variety way to do it. You know, they say variety is the spice of life. So I try to do things to keep your interest, you know. And also, so you don't get bored. Because listening to me all the time, maybe you get bored, or maybe not. I don't know. So the boredom happens in your own mind. So if you are getting bored, stop that, because it's not helpful, not conducive to wisdom arising, to compassion being perfected, and so on, okay? But also, if you're getting excited, agitated mentally, then give that up too. Calm your mind down. If your mind is really dull, then brighten it up, just like we do in the meditations. And so try to keep the, you know, your, you could say the container, which represents your mind and your listening or hearing or whatever, try to keep it upright like this, so it catches all of the Dharma, free from holes, and also free from any opinions. In other words, metaphorically, you could say yesterday's curdled milk. We're pouring in the pure Dharma, the pure milk of Dharma. But if you have all of your own opinions, whether they're right or wrong, in that bowl, which represents your mind again, then actually they can color and disturb the pure Dharma. So if your mind, for instance, having impure thoughts, then even the Dharma becomes curdled or impure. So be the container the right way up, not the container the wrong way up, where you're here physically, but you're not really paying attention. Don't be the container with holes, so you're very forgetful, and definitely not the container with yesterday's curdled or poisonous milk. And if you don't drink milk, then, which I don't, but, you know, water. So you can have putrid water there. As soon as you pour in the pure water of the Dharma, and then you color that and you sort of taint that, okay? That's the right way to listen to the Dharma. And then listen, just hear, okay? Utilize the wisdom or the wisdom tool of hearing. And then later you can contemplate for your own benefit and investigate, analyze, and so on, okay? And get to really understand whether something you've heard is real or not real. Get to understand it thoroughly. And then eventually, when you come to some understanding, then you can absorb your mind with it. Utilize the wisdom tool of meditation or absorption, mental absorption, okay? So we'll get into the book right now. The first one, you could sort of loosely title it, All We Really Need, but also I've kind of titled it as well, the Free From Attachment, okay? So last week, we did that one. So all we really need to survive is air to breathe, water to drink, food to eat, and shelter to rest and protect us from the elements. The rest is none of our business. We just choose to make it our business. And I will get straight into the explanation before having a little chat about this one. We human beings have the tendency to cause ourselves so much unnecessary stress and anxiety, which can lead us or lead to us becoming depressed and disheartened, constantly searching for happiness and relief from suffering. Often we experience regret and lamentation related to what we think we should have, could have, and would have done in the past, and what we think we shouldn't have, couldn't have, or wouldn't have done in the past. This leads us to think about our future rather than simply experiencing this precious life moment to moment in the here and now with acceptance, forgiveness, and contentment. We constantly chase after gain, fame, praise, and pleasure, and try to avoid loss, shame, blame, and pain, not realizing that these conditions are impermanent and not stable. So we should do our very best to free ourselves from attachment to these worldly winds that blow us off our Dharma path to liberation. Free ourselves from attachment to wanting this and not wanting that. Just let things be as they are, and we just might realize that we are just fine the way we are. Of course, we still have to purify the mind from the mental afflictions, the faults, and so on, and perfect our good qualities. It's a little footnote at the end of that, okay? So the initial quote is kind of like an embellishment in a sort of expanded upon version, you could say, of a teaching by the Master Patrul Rinpoche, to the great Tibetan master from the last century. And he said that we should be more like the old cow in the barn, happy to have the, not particularly in this order, but happy to have the water, the food, the shelter, and, go to the toilet type of thing. And it's sort of he says the rest is none of our business. I added to that, like I said. So this is kind of inspired by that teaching, of which that teaching was very influential on my Dharma path. Maybe late 80s, I read this book called The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying by Master Sogyal Rinpoche. Okay, maybe it was early 90s, actually. So then, basically teaching us that we really don't need so many things. And you could say that our wants are many, but our needs are actually few. And we cause ourselves, it's not just stuff now. I'm just not just talking about food, sort of water, things like that, but it's also mental things. We're filling our minds so often with things, our opinions, so often that are either erroneous or not totally clear, not totally correct, you could say. I'm going to put my glasses back on there. So there's something to be said about, maybe I should have had matted pages here, because actually they're quite shiny, these pages. So we human beings, we have the tendency to cause ourselves so much extra stuff. I say that in life we experience stuff. Don't create extra stuff. We're already going to experience some difficulties because we caused these difficulties in the past, previous lives, this life, Don't add extra stuff to it. Don't add worry and anxiety. And always, like I said earlier, always looking outside yourself for the answers, okay? Yeah, study the books. Yes, listen to Dharma talks, but actually look for the answers ultimately in your own mind with the help of guidance, of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, okay, and teachers. Then it can get worse. If we don't address this stress and anxiety, it can become even like depression and being disheartened. So we're constantly searching outside of ourselves, and trying to avoid the suffering that we already have caused. We also think, I shouldn't have done that. I couldn't have done that. I wouldn't have done that. That's fine if we are learning the past. Thinking about the past is only good when we learn in the present from it. So that's fine to do that. Yes, have some positive regret about things that you shouldn't have done, in the past, that were unwholesome, for instance. And maybe even things that you thought you should have done that you didn't do. It's okay to have some positive regret, but not clinging regret. Don't hang on to these things and cause yourself anxiety and worries and so on, okay? Living in the past, thinking about the future always, like the pendulum again, and never experiencing this moment. We actually learn in this moment, okay? We don't really learn from the past. Maybe we learn from thinking of the past, but the learning actually happens here and now, Now, how else could it be? We can't learn anything in the future, even though we say that for convenience, but we're learning in the here and now, okay? If you don't agree, contemplate it and then learn in your own mind, okay? Yeah, I've kind of covered that. So we need to be more accepting of ourselves and others, more forgiving, which would lead us to be more contented and not always chasing stuff, Yeah, we need food. Yeah, we need water. Yes, we need air. We need shelter, including clothing. The rest, yes, we mentioned it before, that things like this computer and the car and whatever in this modern world we live in, if we want to do things, but actually these requisites are all we really need to survive physically. Of course, mentally, we need the Dharma. We need goodness. We need to purify our mind, things like this, okay? We need to practice the 3 higher trainings of the Buddha, which can also be enumerated as the Eightfold Path. We need to practice morality as the foundation of the practice, expressed in short by the Buddha as do no harm. Then, of course, we need to practice meditation or mental development. And this is, you could say this is sort of covered by saying, do only good. You know, this is the higher training in meditation. Before that, the higher training in morality. Then, of course, we need to develop the wisdom, purify the mind, the Buddha said. This represents training the mind in wisdom. But we need it in that order as well as all together. Okay, so the morality, meditation, wisdom. Throughout all of this practice is compassion, love, empathetic joy, and equanimity, of course, okay, the four immeasurables. And of course, this can be enumerated as the Eightfold Path. For instance, morality is right speech, right action, right livelihood. The meditation, high training in meditation is right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And the higher training in wisdom is right understanding and right thoughts or intentions, okay? So that'll do for that. That was actually a question I was asked during the week, and I pointed them to the older Dharma classes, the Zoom classes that are on my YouTube channel, you know, way back when we first started doing these Zoom classes. But I also told them that I'd address it during this commentary on this specific subject now, okay? That's that. So we should free ourselves from attachment as much as we can, you know. Once again, we're talking about the 8 worldly concerns, 8 worldly winds, always chasing after the positive ones or what we feel are positive, and then trying to avoid what we feel are negative ones like loss and shame and blame and so on, okay? Trying to do your best to give up attachment, to always chasing after these or trying to run away from them based on hopes and fears. Okay, I think that'll do for that. The next one says, always practice the 2 benefits of benefiting self and others. If we do this with pure intentions, then our wisdom and compassion naturally increase until eventually they become immeasurable and unified, leading ourselves and others towards anuttara samyak sambodhi, or unsurpassed supreme enlightenment. Now, this is quite a big subject, obviously. So I'm not going to give too much commentary on this because we're also not just talking about the 2 benefits of benefiting self and others. In other words, practicing the bodhicitta. Okay, we're also talking about the 5 paths, and so, or 5 levels towards enlightenment: the path of accumulation, the path of preparation, the path of insight, path of meditation, and the path of no more learning, of which we have spoken about briefly before during commentary on different subjects, okay? So I'll read it and I'll explain to you which path and it is that I'm talking about, but also the things that actually are being perfected during this period or accumulated during this path or this level, okay? We should do our very best to develop insight into the nature of reality. So realize the supreme wisdom and develop the extraordinary altruistic intention to attain unsurpassed supreme enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, and encouraging others to do likewise. So practicing bodhicitta, but also not just a relative bodhicitta now, working our way to realizing the ultimate bodhicitta, the unification of the wisdom and method, or wisdom and compassion. So this is basically the first part is talking about the path of accumulation and, you know, the practice of renunciation, okay? Renouncing worldly ways, turn your mind towards enlightenment. Accumulate oceans of merit. Practice and master enthusiastic effort and mindfulness. Next is the path of preparation. Prepare your mind with perfect patience to realize the emptiness of self and other. Perfect the 5 faculties to become the 5 powers of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Eradicate all acquired misconceptions and wrong views. And now the path of meditation, or you could say it's the realizing the path of insight, wisdom, knowledge, and then absorbing your mind with it, okay? We've already gone through that a little bit and now introducing it again onto the path of meditation, absorption. So absorb your mind with supreme wisdom and attain the 7 factors of enlightenment: supreme mindfulness, awareness, energy, joy, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. Eliminate the innate obscurations and master the Eightfold Path. Realize the 5 wisdoms: the wisdom of ultimate reality, mirror-like wisdom, wisdom of equality, I should say, wisdom of discernment, and all-accomplishing wisdom, of which we have spoken about these before too. With a great heart of compassion, the extraordinary altruistic intention, encourage and lead all sentient beings to do likewise. May all sentient beings attain unsurpassed supreme enlightenment. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Okay, so I think maybe we have a chance to do one more. This is a very short one. I don't think, what is it, 2 minutes left. So yeah, we'll just finish up with this one. I was hoping again to do the following one too, but I won't. It's going to take too long. Okay, so the next one, or before I go on to the next one, just maybe replay the video, or if you have the book, or if you've seen the article on Facebook, for instance, then read it again, okay, and realize this is a commentary, a very, very cryptic, very brief commentary, you could say, on the 5 paths: accumulation, preparation, insight, meditation, and no more learning, okay? Anger is our foe. It only causes torment and pain. Learn to let it go, just like the morning rain. Anger only ever causes suffering. We should eradicate it whenever it arises, just as we don't hang on to rain when the sun comes out. All things pass. So this is where impermanence is actually a good thing, isn't it? We can rejoice in the fact that our anger is impermanent. So we don't have to hang on to it, but we do habitually hang on to it so often. Learn to let it go. As I say often, our negative emotions especially are very shy once we pay pure awareness to them without any bias and so on, okay? So learn to let go of the anger, apply the antidotes of loving kindness and forgiveness and so on, okay? Compassion, patience, and then at that time the anger will subside. Anger only comes when we either don't get what we want or we get what we don't want. So give up thoughts like this, okay? Once again, the 8 worldly winds in play. So I rejoice in your goodness. I look forward to seeing you next week. And make sure that you study and hear the Dharma with pure intentions. Contemplate with pure intentions. Meditate and absorb your mind with understanding, with pure intentions. And